I was coming out of southern Mexico with a load of grass. And so I couldn't just land anywhere. I had to land somewhere undetected, screaming out, and then it caught fire. I went up 6,000 feet like a rocket. The yoke here was just shaking like it had palsy. I mean, it was shaking, and then all of a sudden, BAM! That plane jerked around. I was coming out of southern Mexico with a load of grass, 2,000 pounds, and the wings had 400 gallons of fuel. That's another ton, 2,400 pounds, so it was heavy. And so I couldn't just land anywhere. I had to land somewhere undetected. And that's when I felt a little vibration in my feet. And I looked, and oil was running out of this left engine gear, streaming out, and then it caught fire at 11,000 feet. And as I was looking, it caught fire. And I mean, it wasn't a little fire, it was an inferno. It looked like it was gonna burn that wing off. Well, I quickly cut the fuel and the oil supply to that engine, opened the cowl flaps, and put the nose straight, almost straight down, not straight down. And it went up to double the never exceed speed. I guess I was doing 400 knots. And the fire did blow out. But then the yoke was so hard, it was like concrete. I couldn't pull it out. It was just still going down at that speed, slowly, just with tiny, I thought I'd tear the tail off or wings was gonna come off. I pulled it out of that dive, and it was 1,500 feet. And I passed over Guaymas, Mexico, went on up to where they made the movie Catch-22. And I thought they had a nice long runway and nobody was around. I thought I can land there. But if I land there, I still got another 500 miles to the border that I'm gonna have to manage to get there somehow or another. So let me just keep on going. So I got right up next to the shore of the Sea of Cortez on the east side, and I got right down, and I was ready to touch the water. I was ready to swim. I was about 50 feet from the shore. I said, any moment I'm gonna swim, and I'm a float plane pilot, so you had to gear up, so I knew I'd be a safe water landing. And right when it got down, they claimed one wing length from the ocean, you get on an airlift. It's a cushion. And the thing started flying. And so I had the right engine wide open, and I put the wingtip of the other on the left wing right down to the water. It skimmed it sometimes. I put my both feet over on the left rudder pedal, and the yoke here was just shaking like it had palsy. I mean, it was shaking, and the horn was blowing, stall imminent. So it kept going. So I couldn't move. I sat there for hours. I peed in my pants right in the seat. I couldn't move at all. And I came to the mouth of the Colorado River. And then I started to follow in the Colorado River north, but it went east and west and south. It winds around through that Sonora Desert. Came under power lines. It got dark, and I crossed the U.S. border there. And after I crossed it, the plane would fly just a little bit. And I got down Interstate 8, and I stayed right on top of the cars in Interstate so that the radar couldn't pick me up. I knew I had little radar stations all along there and pick up trucks. And I was laughing along. There was a policeman or highway patrolman giving somebody a ticket, and I must almost took his hat off and blew his hat off, and I laughed. And then all of a sudden, BAM! That plane jerked around. There was a bridge over the highway that I didn't see, and it was so close of a concussion till I thought it bent the airplane. I know it scared me. But boy, I mean, I pulled it up. That thing would go about 500 feet high, and I flew on down and went to Calexico, and then turned north, went over the Sea of Cortez, and went down 170 feet below sea level, or whatever that was, and went on up to Palm Springs, and went just east of Palm Springs and got on Interstate 10. I was going to go out to 29 Palms, where a truck was waiting for me in the desert on a dry lake. So after turning east, I didn't realize it at Interstate 10 climbed. Well, that one engine of the plane, it wouldn't climb as fast as the highway was climbing. And it came a rainstorm. It was beating on the windshield. I had the little windshield wipers going, I could hardly see. And then the semi started blinding me coming from the other direction. And I thought, you are fixing to bite the dust one more time. And I unfeathered that engine and cranked it up, and boy, what a power it went. I went up 6,000 feet like a rocket, because now I'm low on fuel. And as soon as I got up 6,000 feet, I shut the engine down again, and it was rough. I was bouncing around like a rag doll up there. And I got out to 29 Palms, and a fellow named Jeff, he was waiting for me. I was hoping he was waiting. I was hours and hours late, and I called him on the radio, and he answered. And I said, Jeff, I'm up here. I've been on fire, and it is rough. He said, well, I hate to tell you, but I'm bogged down halfway down the lake, crosswise to where you want to run, or where you want to land, and there's standing water all over this lake. He said, I don't think you can land. I said, well, I got to land. And he said, well, over on the east side, just a little bit past where my lights are, they might be a little bit of part that's not covered in water. Give it a try. So I lined up and got my wheels down and slowed that baby down and landed and went. I guess my tracks was 12 inches deep where those tires went through that wet sand and got stopped. And man, I was thank my lucky stars. And I hadn't had a drink of water all day long. And I reached for a gallon of water that I had there, and I took a drink, and it was gasoline, and it went down a big gulp, and I was miserable. I tried to vomit it up, but it refused to go both ways. And I kept that gasoline there, and I thought if they ever followed me in, which they did one time, I would pour that gasoline all over the marijuana. Instead of the fire, I kept fusees in each pocket of the coat that I wore. But that's what I had reached and got was the gasoline instead of the water. So as soon as I got a drink of water and got out of the airplane, crawled over. I think I had to go out the window because the plane was so full of marijuana. Had 2,200 pounds in there, good sticky buds. So I crawled out that window, and Jeff came up in the truck and backed it up, and we unloaded that marijuana. And I said, go get Jerry. My friend Jerry Wills lived in LA or Long Beach at that time. I said, tell him to come out with some tools, 10 gallons of oil. So he took off, and I sat there all night long. I cleaned the airplane up, and I shit in that airplane. I said, I was shaking like a bird dog shitting peach seed. It was rough. I mean, rough. Terrible cold night, and I just had a little tiny, it wasn't even a jacket, almost a shirt. I was freezing out there in that desert. And so about daylight, Jerry showed up with the tools, and we took the cowling off of the engine, and the top cylinder had split completely in two. I mean, just right down, hanging both ways. It's got 2 spark plugs for each cylinder, and they were hanging in the air, and the fuel that was going was being set on fire. That set the oil from the engine on fire, and that's what that terrible fire was all about. And I looked, and the whole wing was burned. It looked like it would have come off pretty soon, and the side, the paint was burned all the way back to the tail. I put the in a skid, or slip, or that would be, to keep the fire off of the side of the airplane when it was on fire. So I clamped the gas lines, cut the spark plugs off, put the cowling back on and cranked it up and took off. And I had to climb 14,000 feet to get over those mountains, and went in to go into Orange County where the mechanic was, where I kept the airplane. And I didn't pull the carburetor heat on the right engine going in, and it quit on me. It started stopping. It iced up. So I had to crank that bad engine up again, and I landed, went down what is now John Wayne Airport. Back then it was Orange County Airport, one of the busiest in the nation. Went there early in the morning, and as that piston would fire, it would leave a smoke ring. It was about big as a basketball of black smoke all the way down that runway, a mile long, and back up the taxiway. I mean, it was a spectacle. So I got that thing parked, and I was glad I got out of it and that I was alive. That was just too dangerous to live.